Hi there, my name is Fabers and you're welcome to FabWebTuts. Alright, so today in the tutorial, I'm just going to be teaching you on how to add CSS to HTML. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started, baby. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do now is to just go ahead and launch Notepad++. So you're just going to go ahead and double click on Notepad on your desktop and it is loaded. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to just go ahead and write HTML code. Alright, so right now what I'm just gonna do is to just start with the doc type like so. Then I'm gonna open the HTML. Then I'm gonna open the HTML tag like so. Then I'm going to open the head tag like so. Then I'm gonna open the title tag like so. Actually, let me just close the title tag here like so. Sorry, like that. The next thing I'm going to do is to just write the title, say adding CSS to HTML like this. The next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and close the heading tag like so. Okay, then I'm going to open the body tag like so. Actually, let me close it like so. Then let me drop this line and close the HTML tag like so. Alright, so let me add an element, say heading 1 element like this. Let me just write the heading, say this is to show you how to add CSS to HTML. So I'm just gonna go ahead and close the heading 1 tag like so. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to show you how to add CSS to HTML. Okay, so the first method we're going to look at is the internal style or the embedded style. So right now we're just gonna go ahead and add a tag here, or an element called the style element. We're gonna open the tag, then write style like so. Then we'll close it. We'll drop this line. Then we're going to write a style to close the style tag, the style element. All right. So now in between the style tag, that's the style opening and closing tag, what we're going to do now is to write our CSS instruction. So right now I'm just going to write the instruction that's going to apply to the heading 1 element here. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and select it using the element selector. So I'm just going to select it like this, H1, and then a brace. I'm going to drop this line, then press tab to indent, and then I'm just going to say color. Let's give it red. Okay, so I'm just going to close it there, then drop this line, and then close the style for heading 1. Now what this is basically saying is that, okay, capture the heading 1 element from the HTML document, then give it the color, say red. That's what it's going to do. So right now what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and click on file and save this file. Alright, so I'm just gonna save it to the desktop. Then I'm just gonna type adding CSS to HTML like this. Then I'm going to select the file type. I'm going to save it as HTML document. So actually let me create a folder on the desktop. So I'm just going to create a folder. I'm going to call the folder adding CSS to HTML. Sorry, HTML like that. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and open the folder and save it right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on save. So you can see now it's picking up the file as a HTML file. Initially the whole thing was just black, but you can see it's giving it color. Notepad has been able to identify the file type Alright, so right now I'm just gonna go ahead and minimize this and then go to the desktop. You can see it right here. I'm just gonna double click this folder. You can see these are the file we just created. So I'm just gonna double click to open it using Chrome. Okay, so you can see our document is here. It says this is to show, oops, show, whatever. All right, let me just reduce the screen, and actually let me just do it this way. I'm just gonna reduce this as well, then put it like this. I'm just gonna put it side by side so that we can see what we are doing. All right, so you can see now it says this is to show. All right, let me just remove this. This is to show you how to add HTML to CSS. All right, let me save this. Control S, then refresh. You can see show. This is to show you how to add CSS to HTML. All right, let me just add one attribute, say background. Okay, then I'm going to say background green, like this. Okay, then Control S, save. Then we'll refresh here. You can see the background is now green. So you can see now you can add CSS to HTML using this method by adding a style tag here, which is called the internal style. This is the internal method of adding CSS to HTML. All right, let me just remove this. Okay, then Control S, save, refresh. It's just gonna go back to default. All right, so let me show you how to add CSS using the inline style. So you can see this is the H1. Say we want to add CSS to the H1 element. We're just gonna come inside the H1 element here, and then we're going to write a style like this. Then we'll put equal to. Then we now open and close the quotation marks. Then we will now go ahead and write our style, properties, and value here. Right now, let's say we want to add color to it. So I'm just going to write color, then colon. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is just go ahead and specify the color, say red. Then we'll put a semicolon to close it. Actually, let me save this and then refresh. You can see it's giving us red. Okay, so let me just do the same thing I did the other time. Let's add a background. Then we'll put a colon. Then we'll now say green. Then we'll now close it. Then we'll put save. If you refresh now, you can see the background is applied. Okay, so you can see this is called the inline styling. You can style it using the inline method. You can also use the internal method. Now, the last method of adding CSS to HTML I want to talk about is external method. So let me just go ahead and remove this. Actually, let me remove the whole of it. Then click on save. That's Control S. Then refresh. You're going to see the text is now default. All right, so let me show you how to add CSS to HTML using the external style sheet. All right, so for us to do that, we're just gonna go ahead and create a new file by clicking on this new. All right, so we're going to say we want to add the style to this H1 element. Actually, that's the only element we have there. So we're just going to add it. Say we're going to write H1. That's the selector. We are selecting H1 element. Then we'll open brace. We'll drop this line. We'll close the brace. Then here we're going to write the property. What property are we talking about of the H1 element? Now we're going to talk about the color property. Then what color are we going to give it? The value should be red. So we're giving it red. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and click on file and then save this document. Now all I'm going to do is just write CSS codes. You can give it any name you want. Then I'm just going to select the file type to be CSS, actually, like this. Then I'm going to save it. I'm going to click on save. So you can see it has recognized this code as CSS code. You can see it's giving it a color. Right now, the next thing I'm going to do is to link this CSS, that's this CSS code, to this HTML document. Now, what to do is to just come to the head tag here. We'll drop the line, then we'll link it up to the CSS style sheet. Right now, what you're going to do is to just write a link. Then the next thing you're going to write is rel, that's relationship. Now, under the relationship, we're going to give it say style sheets like this. So the next thing I'm going to write is href, that's hyper reference. So the next thing I'm going to do is to write equal, that's the equal to symbol. Then we're going to open and close quotation. Then inside we're going to write the name of this our CSS file. So I'm going to write CSS codes like this .css. That's the file extension. Alright, so we're going to say save. We're going to do Ctrl S and save it. Now let's refresh. You can see once we refresh, it is picking up the file. It's picking up the CSS file and applying the CSS style to it. Now if you want to change the CSS code, we're just going to come to this side and change it. Say let's add background now, let's say green, like so. Then we'll say Ctrl S, save. Now if you refresh, you can see the background is applied as well. Okay, so right now there's this thing I want to show you. You can see we just wrote the href, that's the hyper reference. We just wrote CSS code. That's because this file and this file are on the same folder. But assuming, all right, let me show you. Let me just close this and minimize this and minimize this as well. Now let me just drag this code outside to the desktop. All right, you can see now it is no longer in the same folder with the HTML file. So right now, if you come here, you just have to, go back like this before we pick our CSS code. So I'm just gonna say save right now. Then I'm just gonna go back to our browser, refresh. You can see it's still picking up the CSS code, and that's because what we have just specified here is that go back once and then pick CSS code. But if you cannot find CSS code there, it won't be applied. So let me just delete this and show you. Now if you refresh, nothing's gonna apply because the CSS code is no longer there. So let me just undo this. Sorry, let me just undo. Then we refresh now. You can see the CSS code is back on. Alright, so thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I'm going to see you in the next tutorial. Alright, so in the next tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you about spacing and measurement units. Until then, peace out.